Okay.
We have a quorum present, and apparently the other two members will not be able to make the meeting today. So I call our meeting to order. First edition is the agenda. Does anybody want to propose any changes to the agenda? Seeing nobody nodding, I take it the agenda is approved unanimously. All right, April minutes went out. Anybody have any corrections or additions to those minutes?
I actually read them. They seem fine.
I thought they were pretty thorough.
Yeah.
Okay. There's a motion to approve from somebody?
So moved.
I'll second.
Greg? All those in favor, aye. Opposed, same side. There's nobody to be opposed, okay? It's approved. Golf report, it's Paul's turn.
Yeah, well, we've got a soft opening on Friday. This coming Friday, basically we've been going through, we've had a lot of rain, so
Can you hold for just a second, Paul? Do we have closed captions available to us?
Yeah, I can turn those on in just a minute. Okay.
Let's see if that works. Yep, it does. Good. Thank you. Go ahead, Paul.
Okay, yeah, so we're looking at Friday is our opening. It's been really wet. We've been, getting out and just beginning, kind of the mowing process out there. But, we've had, from the winter, we've had, a lot of, scalding, on the turf. And so the rain that we've had and the heat that we had the other day, it makes a lot of difference as far as it coming back. But it's different than it has been in the past from, basically from this weird winter that we had this last time. But, we kind of go through these challenges, every year or two. But, yeah, we're just kind of at the point now where we're kind of waiting for a little more heat and growth to go to have a better assessment of where we're at. We've had one green that we, looks like there's a little damage on, and then so we've done some things to that already. But other than that, we've been busy in the clubhouse, doing a bunch of stuff in there. We've changed one storage room. We converted that into what's going to be our commercial, I guess, well, it's got commercial components in there so that we can get, for a kitchen, so that we can get our liquor license. And all that's in the process of being done. We don't have the only license I have right now is expired. So we're waiting for all these forces to converge. We're dealing with city, state, and county on all this stuff, but yeah, it's just going to take a little time, I think, to get our license intact. But I think it's going to happen to where we can have the regular beer and wine sort of thing. And we also have like mixed drinks in cans that I guess we'll be able to serve too. So that's going to be good. We've got we're going to be serving pizzas there. So all this stuff we're in the process of getting it in place. And like 2 months ago, I would have thought if we were opening this Friday, I would have thought I'd be dragging my feet. But right now, it seems like we're kind of early. Driving. When I drove by Houston today, yeah, it's way greener down there than we're a little bit behind them this year as far as where we're at for conditions. But anyway, we've been out, mowing the green surfaces and getting those, ready to go and getting all the apparatus up. So I guess we'll be ready to go Friday. It just once again, I think our average time for starting up is closer to the end of May. So this is an early start, and it's not going to be any thing where the turf is like really advanced, because we're just behind because of the temperatures and the rain. So nothing unusual. And then, we're back to some other, the other issues we'll be looking at as we get things in place here. We'll be going through the irrigation system. We've got some issues with that, and we have to address that. Take a poke at trying to get some more carts. That's kind of been pushed off for a few, I think about 3 seasons now. We haven't ordered any carts, and we had kind of a rhythm going there for a while, but then we had some other, financial interruptions. So those are some of the things we're going to try to keep up off the bat. Let's see, Danny Ford is going to be managing the leagues this year. And so he was in yesterday getting some information. Paulina Bergstrom was doing the women's league last year, and I reached out to her. She had contacted me at one point, but I haven't been back in contact with her. Their group seems like they kind of do a prime time league thing, like more around July, through the month of July. So I'll be in touch with her to see what the deal is there, and that's about it for now, I guess.
It looked to me like the greens were in really good shape generally.
Well, I put some nutrients on them a couple weeks ago. It just helps us. They kind of take a feeding while we're busy doing all sorts of other things, and so we had a good response from that. But there's a lot of POA in these greens, and the POA is really affected by the freeze and thaw cycles in the fall and in the spring, and certainly this open weather, the POA just acts different. It's right now it's a little tan looking here and there throughout the greens. If you're driving by the greens, they look nice, but if you get right over them, there's a lot of POA that's been dinged from the winter. But this has happened before, and as we're looking at the grass, from day to day, the POA is starting to get some color, and so generally with POA, when you get towards 70, it likes to be around 70 degrees. So the warm weather that we're getting, it's starting to snap out of its thing. So that's what it's done this before, where the POA is just in severe shock from the winter conditions. And there could be some areas that are dead, but so far I'm seeing not too much of that. And just mainly just the scalded POA. Like I say, we're seeing some hues of green coming in and being affected by the rain and more by the warm weather. We had yesterday. I think it must have been near 70 up there. So, and I think this week, if you look at the temperatures from Erie, they're around 60 in the low 60s. So. That's generally what we look at for our weather temperatures, really, rather than Grand Marais, because being up on the hill affects us that much.
Who would be the person to talk to North House about and who at North House should we talk to about the idea of a rain and lightning shelter?
I bet Dave and I could have a conversation about that.
Okay.
Well, I'm just kind of thinking about this. I'm trying to picture where that might go on the golf course.
Yeah, we'll have to keep, Paul, it's nothing we can solve tonight, but we'll keep talking about it.
Right. I just wanted to get the process moving.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. That's fine.
Anything else on golf from anybody else?
I have just a brief report about the suggestions for getting youth involved that we talked about last month.
Yes.
And the great news is the local teen center, North Point, Brad and Brooke Shannon have a program for youth golf, and they've got 25 youth signed up.
Marvelous.
Yes.
Yeah, I had a message on my desk to give Brooke a call, and that they want that thing set up again this year, and so that's on my list of things to do. But I was glad to hear that she was calling in, because that was kind of their first year doing that this year, and it sounds like it's growing. So I love to do that. We had some we're getting a lot of calls from different people with different businesses, and the youth groups it's a big deal. Trying to grow the game. Yeah, it's a good game for kids. So that's great.
Okay. Anything else on golf before we change subject? Jessa, do you want to be taken out of order? We could do it now if you want to.
Sure, sure.
Okay, we have an application.
Thanks, Paul.
Pardon?
Yep, thank you.
Everyone else has left the call.
We have an application from the North House Folk School for a summer solstice and wooden boat festival and a harbor boat walk. Tell us about that as much as you'd like to.
All right, so
If
we.
you could.
Yep, you can listen to the mic.
And for the record, your name is
My name is
Jessa, is it Frest?
Jessa Frost. I'm the program director at North House. Yes, so with sloppy penmanship, I guess. So, North House Folk School has hosted an annual wooden boat show for going on 26 years now. It's been always the weekend closest to summer solstice, and I think locally it's often known as much for the boats as for the very large puppet show that the Good Harbor Hill Players hosts on that Saturday night. And this year, we are looking to adjust a few things about the event and the way that it works. And one of the things that we wanted to do was expand the amount of space we have available for boat display and make that boat display feel more connected to the harbor that we have here in Grand Marais and more connected to the historical resources that are available just adjacent to North House in the rec park. And so my grand vision is that eventually there might be more boats coming, enough boats that we would be able to have boats kind of lined up all along the beach on display for one day. My starting point this year is to have what's probably in the neighborhood of 10 to 20 boats on display in what now is often kind of a parking lot area adjacent to the timber frame there. And if we end up with lots and lots of boats, we would stretch them a little bit further towards the gas pumps, and ideally bring visitors down towards the Muji and the Historic Fish House, which is something I've talked to the Historical Society about doing to help connect the people who are coming to our campus into more of the resources that the rec park has available.
Okay, any thoughts that you want to share?
Well, Jess and I have walked this space. We've got a map here to help you visualize what we have in mind, what they have in mind. And it's, like it's been described as kind of an open space where the new timber frame is featured, the new pavilion that was installed 2 seasons ago. It's not too new, but, and there's just kind of a informal parking in this area as well, like for the dock guests and slip owners. But I feel it's compatible, like there's enough room down there. And June is slower than July and August for the marina when it comes to boat occupancy and usage. There's certainly a couple charter operations down there that we want to be aware of their needs and their parking needs. And so I feel that we can accommodate that. We can do both. This is a one-day display. You can see the hours are laid out from approximately 9 to 5. And I think a neat opportunity to, as Jess has mentioned, like kind of spread out the festive grounds that North House that weekend is, a boat enthusiast weekend. And we've oftentimes had the people wandering into the marina to, look at the, motorboats in the docks. Now, we're talking about boats from the North House's end. It's small boats.
Yes, these are canoes, kayaks,
Yes.
small rowing craft.
Yes, so there's where 10 to 20 is not like a big,
It's-
20-foot boats that are gonna be crowding the space. We feel there's.
And they're gonna be on the land, not in the water, right?
Right.
Correct, yeah. And my hope would be to be inclusive of the boat owners who are using the slips and invite them if they'd like to be present and part of it and featured to do that, but certainly not to do it as a requirement.
Yeah, there's always that sort of element of strolling the docks. Once people that are interested in boats show up for the boat show, they naturally migrate into the marina and look at the boats in the water, and it's just, to me, a pretty good fit. The only, signage, parking, that's something we can accommodate. As I say, there's considerable informal parking in this space. There's not stripes and lanes and stalls, and it's very informal. And the space that they're requesting, in particular, up against the sidewalk, is really not where the cars park or the trucks park. They park more in the fish cleaning area and in front of the underground storage tanks, which are just about outside of this zone that's been drawn. And so, operationally, I feel it'll fit.
Anybody want to discuss it or make a motion?
So moved.
You move approval. And Craig seconds. Any further discussion? All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
All right.
Aye. Opposed, same sign? Nobody to oppose, okay?
Thank you very much.
So,
Appreciate it.
I'll miss it, because I'll be in Ohio that weekend, but have a good time. I liked it last year.
Well, good. We certainly hope the weather looks different than it does today.
Thanks, Jesse.
All right.
We'll
Yeah,
stay in
thank you.
touch.
Yeah, well, let me know when you want to talk about the ideas.
You're welcome to stay for the rest of it.
Tempting.
But we won't be doing anything special.
I think the people watching my 5-year-old are probably like, how long is the meeting?
All right. So, dumb. Okay, Craig, city council report?
Yeah, I don't really have much to say. We did have a little bit of discussion, though, and Tracy brought up, had she looked at that Boulder Park piling with you, or was that a discussion she had with you?
Yeah, it's
I mean,
an
that-
online
We
discussion.
had talked about that a little bit, about how much of that is they want to do, or,
Yeah, it's like, I think I reported a few meetings back
Yeah.
where there's a Resilient Coastal Programs Initiative, the RCPI, is I think, a regional group that's planning throughout the Great Lakes for coastal resiliency and green solutions for shoreline erosion and climate change and fluctuating lake levels. And so, several months back, Tracy, as mayor, responded to their solicitation for We Can Help Plan in Your Community. And really, we've just had 3 online meetings now with their regional planners and the engineers from Stantec is their firm. And as far as I understand, it's more of a planning to plan process in that we identified Boulder Park, which is, the corner across from the Sydney's Custard and the Trading Post, that frequently we see big waves in there scouring the sheet piling. And when the lake level in particular was high, there was shoreline erosion behind that sheet piling. We lost a lot of fine sediment, and gravel gets sucked through that sheet piling. It's the old sheet piling, it's full of holes, it's seams, and so over the years, park staff has had to touch up that area with additional fill and chunky boulders and clean washed rock, and it came to the top of our list of an area that could be or should be improved, and this program would be suited for. But it's a multi-step process. The sort of preliminary selection of that site is complete. Now they're gonna put together a plan that wouldn't be necessarily implemented. It needs to be vetted with the community. It needs to be funded. And so they're good at identifying funding sources, but not in the shovel-ready mode. And it's, to me, I've talked about it in a broader sense of the whole point there needs some planning. We've seen how the boat launch is transferred, and that parking lot is city property, and in a bit of a sad state of aging pavement and no stormwater management, and there's quite a few issues down there on the point that we could address holistically with a master plan, or a plan, a vision. But right now, we're just focusing up in that corner of Boulder Park and the sheet piling and the shoreline erosion. And so she probably gave that same update, that we were just looking at what a plan would look like. Theoretically, it would be green, like vegetative solutions, like not concrete and sheet pilings, which I was first to raise my hand and say, we have huge waves in that corner.
Right.
And
You
what
gotta-
if and the engineers will determine this, but what if we need concrete and sheet pilings? And
Will it be likely that those people that you've been meeting with will come out here and look at the place at some point? Or
no, it's all
with
done
photographs?
remotely. Yeah, they use Google Earth, and I've sent a bunch of photos and historic data from that area, but I don't know where their headquarters are, honestly. I don't expect a site visit at this stage.
Who's maintained that in the past?
We have,
The
park
sheet, the
staff.
sheet piling part of it, though, who put that in originally? Was that Army Corps of Engineers?
That's
Because
a
of the
great
logging?
question. Yeah,
that
or the
stuff's
logging
old.
interests, yeah,
That stuff has been there for years.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I too kind of looked at it from the boat launch all the way down, and how we park transient boats in the summer on the
They
southern
parked
half
against
of that.
wall.
Yeah, and that capped, sort of improved wall was done in the 80s. When we were
Okay.
cleaning out City Hall, we actually found the plans from the mid-80s.
Okay.
When they did the boat launch, that was like 1985, they also reinforced the wall that's got the cap on it now and the cleats,
Yep,
but that only extends about half of
about
that.
half of it, yeah.
Yeah, and then when you get up in the corner of Boulder Park, there's no cleats, there's no like cap, and it's aging and you could say failing in sections, but no imminent failure and no like
Right.
imminent plans for change.
Okay.
You said something about the planners helping identify funding sources?
Mm-hmm.
You mean outside Minnesota funding sources?
Yeah, it looks like federal, like National Fish and Wildlife is mentioned.
Okay.
Great Lakes Initiative, the Rescue America Plan has a bunch of money that went to the states for these kind of projects.
So the sooner we finish our planning, the sooner we can apply for the money. Okay.
True. Similar initiative on the East Bay, but outside of this, our scope, because of the private property on East Bay, but it was one of the areas of concern when we initially identified, like, on the coastline, like, where are we suffering from shoreline erosion, wave impacts, flooding, downtown flooding, right? We've seen this in the past, where the big waves come into East Bay and wash up on Wisconsin, and, that corner by the donut shop has been underwater many times over the years. But
Your video connection was closed, but your phone is still connected.
So that's a much broader stretch of shoreline that, like I say, includes many private property interests that we're not, the city, and particularly the park department, isn't into that zone, but there was enough like momentum there already with the private landowners that they want to see positive change. East Bay, Drury Lane, the Historical Society, they've all, Best Western.
It's Western.
They've all approached the city over the years to come up with a solution for that shoreline erosion on East Bay. And part of this, our CPI program identified, oh, you need to work with these groups. You need to go after FEMA money and Coast Guard, Army Corps feasibility studies, I think, are on the horizon for that section of beach.
Sounds like it might be promising, both sides.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else, Craig?
No, that's it.
Okay. Parks.
Wow, it's May already. We're open. May 1st, we
And the
made
dog
our,
walkers are going elsewhere
yes? It's too busy for you now?
for the summer. Well, we don't want people complaining about loose dogs.
Oh, that's right. You gotta leash them or go
So we go
elsewhere.
to Old Ski Hill Road or the golf course until it's no longer safe.
Yes, yeah, well, we do have a few guests down there. We opened May 1st as planned, last Wednesday, and several of the seasonal guests are back, several overnighters, but really, half a dozen folks. Last weekend, maybe we had a dozen. Always a slow start, nice and slow. We like it that way. It takes a long time to get everything back online. We've got 2 of our 4 bathhouses open. the ones on the east and west sides. The middle sections will open up in the next week or two. Our first real taste of business is the Victoria Day weekend, which is the Canadian long holiday on the 17th. I believe is that Friday coming up.
May 17th?
Yeah,
Okay.
will be 25% full. But then the 24th, Memorial Day, we're full. So our, obviously a big goal there to get everything up and open by then. But things are going well. We've got great seasonal staff back. Our returning crew of dedicated custodians and maintenance workers have been busy since about the middle of last week of April. We activated those folks around the 26th, making a lot of progress. Also good news on the 8th Avenue paving project. That's out for bids until the 13th of May. We'll be opening those bids on the 14th. We really hope we get some good pricing there and are able to get that avenue overlaid in June. However, now, as we've explained many times, this is all sorts of red tape and strings attached kind of money because of State Park Road Fund flows through MnDOT, which is state aid road money. So Robbie Haas, the county engineer, has very graciously acted as a middleman for us. He's put the bid out for advertise because he technically does the bidding and the project management, but the council will still hopefully approve the bid at the meeting on the 29th and or sooner, because we really know this needs to be done. You've been down to 8th Avenue lately, it's full of potholes again. We'll do our best to fill them in with like cold patch, but we did hear from Robbie this Monday about one of the contractors was concerned about the quick mobilization and like get this done in June. Current read on the bid, and they were wondering if they could do it in September. And I said, whatever it takes. So we'll hopefully get that done in June.
I was inspired by your comment about the Overlook Landing to write a column about it. It starts out with mark your calendar for June 14th.
Yes, the save the date announcements have been sent out to probably 60+ people. Obviously, all of you received that last week, hopefully. I don't know, I did a BCC, which sometimes gets kicked into junk mail or spam mail for some accounts, so hopefully you got that invite for June 14th, 3 p.m. Well, that's the save the date announcement 6 weeks out. I'll also be sending formal invitations out at the end of this month. But yeah, I've had a great response from those that received the save the date, right? The IRRB officials have been invited because of their $50,000 in grant money. That was secured through the EDA. Mary Somnus, the former chair of the EDA, was instrumental in that funding. So obviously she's invited and potential guest speaker. But yeah, invites to counselors and the CEC committee, the Creative Economic Collaborative that was really into this with CJ Fernandez and his team. The contractors wanted to be invited. They're very proud of their work. And so, yeah, hopefully we get a big crowd. It's a free public event. We'll be taking out ads in the paper and online and everything we can do to promote this. And
Who was the designer of the?
CJ Fernandez.
No, of the thing that Stacy's writing, the plaque,
Well, George Morrison.
Yeah, who's the designer of the?
Interpretive panel.
That's it, that's the word.
Stacy was the author.
I know that, and was somebody, you had some
Oh,
artist?
Molly Larson, yeah, Sweetwater Design.
Thank you.
Yeah, we can catch up, Steve, on anything you might need for your article.
Well, it's going out tonight.
Oh, good. But so I'm sort of working that back end, like PR work and the formal, this project needs to be described in like 300 words or less, and so I'm working on that because there were a lot of people involved and it took a long time, and obviously we see the results, pretty nice.
I stole some reportage from WTIP with credit.
Better credit them, yeah. Well, they're invited. I've invited Felicia Schneiderhan from Lake Superior Magazine, and so we hope to get some positive press on this. I'm sure we will. We already have, but now is our time, the 14th of June.
With Morrison, we might get the Duluth papers up here.
It's a pretty big deal. And I don't know if now's the time to read this very kind letter from our friend, did I not print it? Oh, I did, so this just came in from Ann R. Garrity. Gentlemen, And this was addressed to myself and Steve Aldrich, the park board chair, so I reckon you all should get a copy of this. I was visiting Grand Marais recently and drove past a lovely structure as I came into town, wood and metal sitting on Highway 61. I later stopped and spent time just being there. It is a space that felt calm and welcoming. I asked about it and learned that this is called The Landing, designed to honor the works of George Morrison and is part of your community's larger plan. Please know how much I appreciated your work. So often space along highways become commercial and/or industrial. As small as this landing is, it stood out and offered a beautiful welcome to your community. Public arts can often become overlooked in the demands of maintaining infrastructure, but I am so impressed and grateful that Grand Marais and your Park and Rec Board made this commitment. Thank you. Ann R. Garrity.
Do we know who she is, other than the author of that letter?
I do not.
She is a child psych prof at the University
Of Duluth?
of Minneapolis, and is kind of a big gun in those circles, and is a no-nonsense person. If she didn't like it, she wouldn't have written the letter. But she came to dinner, and she said, "What was that new thing?" She knew it, just identified it, and then we sent her off in search of where it came from. And the rest is hers.
Yes, very flattering, very true, and
Who had the idea for the crossing, the landing?
I'd like to claim this much credit, but CJ and the park board in 2013,
Oh, it went back,
2012.
yeah, it goes way back on the planning of the
The
highway
community connection
project.
was
yeah.
2009 master plan, right? We heard from the community, just like we just, the 2023 master plan, at open houses and listening sessions, the community came in and said, we need a front door to the park. It's not right. We're trampling through people's campsites in that corner in particular, where we, are on the corridor, we're on the highway.
That used to be there, yeah.
There used to be campsites in that corner and just sort of a bootleg trail between them. And this was when I started in 2008. So we did a 2009 master plan. The community said you need a welcoming entrance. The park board got to work on that really first thing. It was like, oh, this is something we can do. And so we started the planning in 2010, and it took a couple years. We had CJ Fernandez as our landscape architect and designer, and he drew up that corner as the community connection with the timber frame bridge and the stormwater management and the switchback paved trail that's ADA handicap accessible, and a landing up on the highway for curb appeal and view. And
Tell me again what it is he designed, the trail that's paved, what else was it he, besides the landing?
well, the timber frame bridge was a part of that,
Okay.
and there's stormwater
Is the
management
timber
there.
frame bridge the one that connects to the North House property at the lower level?
Yeah,
Okay.
Or it
My
goes
dog ran
over the
across that and
stormwater.
Disappeared one time.
yeah, it goes over the stormwater settling ponds. There's a really big culvert there from 61. And so in 2010 to 2013 is when we planned and executed what would have been phase one of the community connection. And that was the stormwater management, the smooth paved trail, and the timber frame bridge. And that same, I have these hand-drawn sketches from CJ from 2011 that he's got a landing up on the highway. And it didn't have an arbor and didn't have the Morrison piece. It was just a smooth, flat space to stop and enjoy the view. And we knew it was in the right of way. We knew it was kind of a six-figure expensive piece of concrete. And by 2013, we knew that the Highway 61 project was coming in 9 years, in 21, 22. And so we built the bridge and the stormwater and the trail with Thorson's for, I'd say cheap, like $80,000. And had the landing as a phase two. Once the highway, we do some more work with MnDOT, we thought that would go in the 2021, 22, like MnDOT reconstruct. But with COVID and everything else, it didn't, probably for a good thing, because then the CEC, the Creative Arts Group, got involved with the Highway 61 corridor and planning pedestrian amenities in there, like benches and light posts and bike racks and public art. And CJ was on board as the design consultant for the Highway 61/CEC steering committee for all the pedestrian enhancements along the highway. And so around 2018, 2019 is when I first saw CJ's new improved landing with the Arbor and the Morrison pieces
I talked-
in a CEC meeting.
I talked to somebody at Earth Day who's just a citizen in Grand Marais who has always felt unwelcome in the park because he thought it was for people with trailers.
Right,
And this addresses that need directly.
right.
It's a way of getting in.
So I've been framing it, and so in 2018, 2019, the CJ Arbor Morrison plans came to the park board, and we vetted them, and everybody loved them. And we said, let's do this, let's get this packaged in with the highway project, let's make this happen in 2020, 2021 era.
I
But-
think that project came before us, right, when I was a new member of the board, as I remember.
Yeah, if you came on about 2019, 2020, yeah.
Yeah,
But with the COVID pause and with the cost engineering or value engineering along the highway and everything just in a spin right then with budgets, the landing was sort of removed, set to the park board to say, you still want it, you gotta fund it. And we knew, again, it'd be not cheap, and so we put it into our capital priority plans of that era, 4 or 5 years ago. We said, yes, let's put this on our priorities as a capital improvement. Let's continue to work with CJ. Let's bid it. We bid it in 2022. It was too much. We got one bid for over $500,000. And so we, again, put it on the shelf. And then last 2023, early winter, we put it back out for bids. Got, I think, 4 or 5 bids and all over the place. 360 was the low bid. $1 million was the high bid. We hired Global Specialties for 360. They knocked it out of the park. It took a while. They were late because of the subcontractors doing the arbor and the metal work had some health issues last fall. But yeah, it's just one of those stories I love to tell because it took like 15 years.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And CJ Fernandez was there all along. Us, the park board, were there. The council supports it. It was a whole community of support. The CEC and the Highway 61 Steering Committee certainly get a big nod. IRRB coming on board with,
is CJ local?
no,
Where does he work
St.
out?
Paul.
Okay. How did we find him?
He used to work for LHB out of Duluth, and he's about my age, and I've been working with him my whole career. Because he was like inside of like the LHB design team when we were looking at the master plan in 2009.
He works on trailheads for the DNR, things like that.
Well,
Yeah, but I'm gonna try to get that sort of in, like I say, 300 words or less to read at the ribbon cutting, but yeah, June 14th, Friday afternoon. We wanted a special standalone day. I consulted the mayor, I consulted Jan Severson on the CEC. At first, I had hinted about packaging it with the boat show and the solstice party, but no, this is too special. We want our own day.
okay, so you want to tell us about the portable trailer?
It arrived today.
I thought I drove by when I was going to Duluth.
Yep.
I go,
It's a-
I know what that is.
Yep, and it's a little dark charcoal
Dark
RV
Gray, yeah.
with all toilets and no TVs, and it's parked in the old pool parking lot right now at the rec.
No TVs?
No TVs.
How could we possibly live?
But get this, it's 26 by 8, and so it's quite small. And it's,
8 foot.
and when you open the little doors for the little stalls, it's even smaller.
Does it have power?
It has power and air conditioning and heat and
Water.
lights and water pumps and hot water heaters. It's got a utility closet like this big, and it's just full of
Wi-Fi?
it. No Wi-Fi, but it's very compact. And as I expected, it's like very basic, and it's going to be positioned in Boulder Park. And so we're right now installing power into Boulder Park to power it up, because yes, it takes 2 big RV cord, 30 amp shore power cords to run the water heaters and the air
AC,
conditioners.
Yeah.
But it's very compact, and the toilets are RV style toilets that are gonna require some user pedal flushing. Like there's the potential for this thing to really be a mess, because it's not a plumbed indoor
It's not a normal.
restroom that you flush it and walk away. It's like you gotta prime the bowl, make sure there's water in the bowl, and then you pump the
Maybe we're going to have a cabinet attendant.
lever.
there are instructions on how to use the toilets mounted in there? or-
Not yet, but there will
We'll
be.
probably have to do that, yeah.
And it's got sort of residential toilet paper holders, you know, for just the little single rolls, and we know we're gonna have to put our jumbo rolls in it. So
Yeah.
the goal is to have it out in Boulder Park by Memorial Day weekend.
Okay.
Like I say, we gotta get power to the park and then get this thing a little bit more customized for, commercial use or industrial use. But it strikes me as very small, very easy to clean for what it's worth because of its small square footage.
Are the stalls all along one side, not opposite each other?
No, it's all like, there's 3 doors that all face the same way, and
Yeah.
there's the men's door, and you open it up, and there's one little stall and 2 little urinals and a little sink. And then you open the ladies' door, and there's 3 like really tight little stalls and a sink. And then I haven't opened up the handicap door yet, because it's got the big ramp up on it. It's just like hydraulically lowered, but I can imagine that same like 1 stall and a sink. And so it's a very fancy porta potty.
Are we gonna have a dedication?
No,
Now ribbon
So when's it open?
toilet paper cutting? Is there are there drains in the floor?
That's it, we can go down and TP the thing.
not yet.
Well, you'd think there'd be drains connecting with a pipe, of course, but
I guess I haven't.
it'd make the
that
cleaning a
close.
little easier, you know,
Yeah,
you could just go in
close
there
it
and wash
down.
it down and push everything down the drain.
Yeah.
It's too bad.
Yeah, it's
Is it linoleum on the floor? or-
like that engineered wood. It's like
Oh.
click floor.
It's waterproof then? or-
Looks
well,
to
I would
be.
hope so, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
When do you think it'll be put in its permanent place?
By Memorial Day weekend.
Memorial Day weekend, okay.
And that's Boulder Park, and that's, apparently no one knows where that is, so we'll have to do some
Signage.
PR. I took down the yellow restroom signs off of City Hall, the big yellow letters.
Oh, okay.
We're kind of scheming up a way to put that on top of the trailer, like on its own rack. So it'll say restrooms on it, it'll be open, not 24 hours a day, just given vandalism and things that go bump in the night, we're intending to lock it up at our night 8 o'clock shift, when our night security or our night maintenance goes home, we're gonna lock it.
Okay.
Okay.
Open it up in the morning around 6 AM, maybe 8 on the weekends. So it's limited hours,
Okay,
and very much a trial by error.
Great.
And
It's
the
a,
city owns it,
it's a
City
learning-
owns it,
It's a learning curve.
so you'll have it next year too.
never know.
Okay.
Final piece of infrastructure arrived last week, the adaptive kayak dock is in the process of being installed right now. I made a typo, because we started installing this yesterday morning. We had Greg Olson come down with his crane truck. It's got 2 big, long, 36-foot-long gangways that get craned in between the sidewalk and the floats in the water. And then it's got 2 pontoon sections of floats that you're actually out there in the chair or on your feet, and the boat goes into a separate chute. So it's a total of 4 pieces, and they're all big and awkward and heavy, aluminum, and expensive. And so we've been really handling it with care. Yesterday, we got the 2 gangways in place with the truck crane, and wouldn't you know it, the one for the people walker downer, the float was on top of a big rock in like a foot of water. The float bottomed out on a rock.
is that good or bad?
Bad.
Okay.
So bad that we had to take it apart and pull it to shore and get the rock out, which we did this morning. And so now we go back and put it back together and put the pontoon onto the gangway, and it's very tricky
It's not
stuff.
in deep water.
No, and the lake's down.
Yeah.
Is there is the company that sold it to us doing the installation?
No, that was an extra like $8,000. So we are doing the installation, and will be installed, believe me, but it's not like a Legos, and it's,
Who's your mechanical genius who's making?
It looked half together last night.
yeah,
It was
Yeah, I went and
half
looked at
together.
it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Now it's like half apart.
Yeah.
But it will hopefully be installed and ready to go in a week or less. And it looks very robust and user-friendly and durable, and it'll be a great addition, and I think another piece of press and advertising and exclusive ADA kayak dock, kind of the only one on the shore. There is one of these in 2 harbors at the boat launch, but it's a different brand and not as user-friendly. It doesn't have a boat chute, for example. So we went after this one, as we saw when we approved it, because of its like top shelf.
That's worth a write-up in
Features.
some mag. That's a glossy right there.
Yeah,
It's a
yeah,
big deal.
yeah. Yeah, so we've been super busy, but no doubt this time of year is our busiest time behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Okay, well, is there more to the Parks report besides what you?
Better stop.
Okay, we have, is there any other park business anybody wants to raise? Old business? No old business. New business, we've already approved the North House proposal, and now we have a proposal from Marais Music Collaborative to busk in the park from May to October.
That's right.
This is similar to the one we had last year, I assume. Are there any material changes that matter?
No, it's very nice that the Marais Music Collaborative has really taken over this program and made it successful. They have, they handle the bookings of the musicians. They have a musician guidebook, handbook of behavior and noise and all that set in place. So it's been very successful with their leadership and
Okay.
no additional efforts on our behalf, and I recommend approval.
Shall we change the pattern here, Greg, and have you make the motion?
I'll make the motion to approve
Second?
music in the
Any
park.
debate? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I see 3 votes. No votes, no votes. So it's approved. Is there anything else to be done for the good of the order?
There's another.
Well, we have that lichen question on the bear tree.
Oh, I wanted to know what happened to the bear.
That's second page,
No,
yeah.
not the bear tree.
The bear in the boat is at the sign shop in Lutzen.
And are they doing something with it?
I hope so. Rebuilding it.
Repainting it.
Have they given you any kind of idea when it might be done?
I haven't checked in lately. I talked to Dave last fall. He was hoping for it last fall, so it's worth a reminder.
So are we thinking it's the cedar tree? Or is that tree gonna get
It's gonna have to get
pruned or taken or moved or whatever?
That was maybe the initial failure, but it was
Yeah.
plywood on
Okay.
and non-epoxy paint was another factor. When I showed it to Dave, he was like, yeah, this is not
Which-
really.
Was it painted differently than the other one? Because
Question.
the other one didn't do that.
I can't say without knowing.
Yeah, I don't know, I'm just saying. It didn't last as long as the other one, but of course it didn't have a cedar tree up against it
Yeah,
either, so.
it could be that cedar oil
Could be the
is
oil.
corrosive, and we can, with this, we're gonna trim out that
We might have to
tree.
trim, yeah, before we put it back up and get it ready.
But it's a whole new sign on like Aluma-Core
Okay.
with like epoxy automotive style paint that should last forever.
Should last longer.
But the bear tree sculpture in Harbor Park that we talked about last month and the lichen, Mike and I, the administrator and I went, when we were out strolling about the portable trailer, we stopped there and I said, what do you think of this lichen? And it's pretty bad, it's pretty prolific on the north side, obviously in the shade. But, anyone else have a chance to look at it?
No.
That's fine.
Can be cleaned up.
Does it, is the thought that it's somewhat defacing the thing, is that the idea?
Just concerned citizen, loves that sculpture, wants to make sure it lasts forever. I don't know if it's a defacing versus a structural, like, impacts to the concrete itself, like if it would cause failure.
It shouldn't take too much of some kind of a spray to get rid of it, would it?
Honestly, I don't know. This has never occurred to me to do this. And I think I told you last month, you look up online, lichen on concrete, and the petrochemical industry says, oh yeah, it'll wreck your concrete. You gotta spray it off with this really
Can you
toxic
pressure
chemical.
wash it?
Yeah, and insecticide, or herbicide, to kill it.
To kill it.
And then the nature-based people online are like, no, it doesn't you no harm, and it's good for the bees, and leave it be.
Can't you take it off with a non-poisonous approach, some kind of water or sand spray that would clean it?
I can't say, I'm not a concrete
Let's put it this way,
specialist.
if there's a desire to remove it, that sounds like it would be received better by the locals.
For sure.
Than the poison.
There's no way we're spraying it with toxic chemicals that close to the lake up in the air.
No.
And we can say that much. but it's the desire to remove it that has to be a consensus, or like
Would the
more than just.
naturalists, the master naturalists crowd,
I thought Historic Society,
yeah.
you know, yeah, I'll keep asking the experts.
If it's not good for the concrete, it would seem good to get rid of it.
True.
Okay, don't want our bears falling off.
True. I'll continue to look into it. I'll follow up with this concerned citizen that we're looking into it, and we'll do what the experts think best.
I suppose somebody will have to find out what alternatives there are that are more sustainable than poison.
I think, like you say, just scrape and pressure wash, but then you're kind of risking like a mismatch of the patina of that concrete. I mean, that's a 70-some-year-old statue. And to me, personally, the lichen is a patina that shows its character and its age and natural aging with the landscape. And so if it was my piece of art, I would leave it be, but it's not, it's the community's. So I want to do right for that, and I'll ask the Historical Society and the naturalists and maybe a concrete expert.
Is there anything else for the good of the order? If not, I would declare the meeting adjourned.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thanks.
You can turn my screen off now, Patrick. Thank you.